All right, this is really loud. It is 6:15. I'm going to call us to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. So for attendance, we have all 5 board directors present, and thank you, students. We're just missing Gabby this evening, so thank you for being here. We need to adopt the meeting agenda. Is there a motion that we pass the meeting agenda?
I move we pass the meeting agenda.
Thank you, Diana. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we have a couple of presentations, so I will pass it over to Dr. Irish to kick us off.
Thank you very much. Super excited to introduce Anacortes High School and Dr. Erin Dewey. She's here to present and give us a report. So, Erin, please come on up.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk briefly. So tonight is Anacortes. Thank you. Tonight is the Anacortes High School presentation. And the first thing we're going to talk briefly about is our connection to the school improvement plan with our science courses. So our goal is that 80% of our students will be college and or career ready by spring of 2025, with 76% of our seniors in 2024. And so we're really trying to boost that college and career readiness. One of the ways that we do that is making sure that they're prepared for more advanced coursework and dual credit courses. With that, we have 2 new adoptions that I want to highlight. One of them is AP Physics that we adopted in the spring of 2023. Last year was our first year offering AP Physics, and we offered it with 2 different classes. The other class I'm going to highlight tonight is the Open SciEd Physics that was piloted in 23-24, and then we adopted it last spring. Currently, all Anacortes High School students take biology, chemistry, and physics. And Earth is interwoven within those 3. This is NGSS aligned, and this is a big movement to how we were 5 years ago. 5 years ago, many students would come here, take physical science, they take biology and human anatomy, and they were not prepared for the chemistry and physics that they may encounter later on. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the stars of the presentation, which are the staff and the students that are here to speak to it. So I'm first going to introduce Jonathan Frostad, who currently teaches AP Environmental Science and Open SciEd Physics.
Thanks, Dr. Dewey. So as Erin just said, we adopted this Open SciEd Physics. Last year, you may remember hearing about Open SciEd Chemistry. It's the continuation of that same curriculum. The thing that I think is the most important about Open SciEd is it is completely and totally different than any traditional physics curriculum that some of you may have encountered years ago. It's 100% aligned to the next generation science standards, and that makes it have a very different approach than a standard textbook-based physics class. All of the physics that students learn, they learn from the approach of trying to explain core phenomena, and they're introduced to that phenomena, and then they spend the whole unit picking apart that phenomena piece by piece and learning all the science behind it in the pursuit of trying to explain it. And at the end of every unit, there's a culminating project that has them show what they know and what they've learned about the physics behind it. So I'm going to let them talk about their experience with it. As a teacher, I can tell you I've been teaching physics for 24 years. This is kind of revolutionary, and it's a really big breath of fresh air for me. It's a really fun class.
Mm-hmm.
So for Open SciEd Physics tonight, we have Lorelei and Siriana. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Siriana. I'm a senior, and I'm taking physics this year with Mr. Frostad. And so far, it's been a really fun class, and I feel like the stuff we learn is really applicable to real life. It's helpful, like we learn what a short circuit is, why we have circuit breakers, how a generator works. It's really helpful, just good knowledge, and it's really interesting. We do a lot of hands-on things, and it's a fun class.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Lorelai. I'm a junior. Physics has definitely been my favorite science class I've ever had. I've never really liked science, but I just, learning about generators has been really interesting to me because I've never found them interesting, and how magnets, no offense, but how magnets affect the electric field is really confused me because I didn't think they had anything to do with that. And all the electrons and things with that is just really interesting to me, and I never knew they had any correlation. And just how this science class has so much like in-person stuff, like we get to light up light bulbs and take apart generators. Like I never thought I would have a science class that would let me do that. So I feel like it's a really great opportunity to do things hands-on. My parents are very jealous. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. I love it.
And next, I'm going to introduce Miss Casey Anderson, who is going to speak to the AP Physics course.
I trapped myself behind the podium. So AP Physics 1, we started offering last year as a parallel course to regular physics for students that wanted that kind of next bit of challenge. It is an algebra-based university-level course, similar to what students would take if they were a non-physics science major. So it's kind of in between the like Physics 101 that you would take, like physics for English majors, and then the calculus-based physics you would take if you're an engineering or physics major. It really does a pretty deep dive into mechanics, so kinematics, forces, energy, momentum, oscillations, and this year they brought in fluids. So that'll be really interesting to see, and I know, especially with the area that we have, there's already a lot of interest in the fluid dynamics piece of it. So really awesome course. I'm glad to be able to teach it. And I'm going to scoot this way.
And Caden will be telling us about that course.
Hello, my name is Caden Stevens, and I'm a senior here at AHS. Physics for me I was super excited when this course was added to the AP roster. Physics for me isn't just an interesting subject, but it's also a very useful subject. I plan on studying engineering at a college level at a university. And so this course really helped me build a foundational knowledge that I hope to build on in my college life. One thing that I really appreciated about the AP Physics course was how it challenged students to develop a higher level of critical thinking. And so many people who are new to physics might think that it's just about memorizing formulas, and there are a lot of formulas, but it's more about creating a deeper knowledge of these core physics principles and applying them to real world applications. And so just thinking about some of the clubs like here at AHS, I mean, robotics, wood shop, metals, Skills USA, these all, and sports as well, all are a basis of physics at some level. And so for me, I think it's really interesting how wide physics stretches and how many topics it touches on. And so, like, I remember one specific example that Miss Anderson taught us about was how civil engineers use force and motion principles to calculate the angle at which curves in roadways are set at to sort of eliminate a reliance on frictional forces and put that more on normal forces so that we can drive safely in less than ideal conditions. And so that was sort of an aha moment for me that really just like opened my eyes to what physics can do. And then one other thing that I'd like to touch on is a valuable lesson that I learned from AP Physics, which is that it really taught me how to break down complex problems. And so for me, this kind of came in the form of the experimental design question on the AP test. And so this was a question, a type of question that I know a lot of students struggled with at first because of its open-endedness. And a lot of students didn't really know how to approach this, but my solution for this was to sort of take this larger goal that the College Board is asking me to think about, and to break it down into manageable steps that I can execute on. So that might be starting with a equation from the equation sheet, and then looking at the variables and thinking what materials can I use that will allow me to break this up into smaller chunks that I can act on. And this has been really useful in other areas of my life. Like I love designing, I love woodworking and CAD software, so this has been really useful for me there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions about our physics curriculum?
Are we allowed to audit it? Just come learn now. It sounds way more fun.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I'll just say I thank you. I love hearing the perspectives of the students, and the energy that you have, and the curiosity and engagement. Thank you, thank you. It was wonderful to hear your perspective.
Yep.
Question, sorry. I'm slow to the questions. Can I ask one quick question? Have the students that are in physics now using the Open SciEd, have they all had like Open SciEd for biology and then chemistry and then physics, or are some of them? I'm just wondering about the coherence of the curriculum.
So the students that are in current Open SciEd Physics had Open SciEd Chemistry last year.
Okay, but they wouldn't have had biology.
No, because biology, we're currently not using it.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
What's that? Yeah.
All right, we have the celebration that is next. I think you're doing that, Dr. Clifford?
All right. Now that you all just sat down and got comfortable, I would love for you all to come back up, all the administrators, all the teachers. And you know what, students, if you want to be a representative of students, come on up. And we're going to recognize, you got recognized for Anacortes High School for receiving Advanced Placement Honor Roll and Advanced Placement Access. And this is a huge thing. It is related to, there's a few criteria that allow us to be in this honor roll honor. It's about the percentage of students in the graduating class, and it takes who took the AP exam and AP exam at any point in high school. The percentage of students in the graduating class who scored a 3+ on any AP exam, and who took 5 or more AP exams in high school. And so we got the silver badge this year for this honor roll. The other thing about the access is that it recognizes our Anacortes High School for providing all students a chance to participate in AP, including students that are underrepresented population. So basically our enrollment and our total enrollment by students and by different groups of students, our enrollment in AP classes matches that. And so over the years, we have continued to get higher percentage of students participating in AP. In this last year, we had the highest that we've had in the last 5 years at 254. We had 428 exams taken for the class of in 2024. We had 207 students score 3+. And then we had, and that's 81%, 81.5% of students total that scored 3+. And then specific to our graduating year, 49.7% of our students passed at least one AP test. So this is a huge success. This is a huge success for, I think, I want to recognize the board for supporting the course offerings and asking questions about what we're offering. I want to recognize our administrators for the vision and for continuing to seek out what courses we want to offer and how we're making it offer, the number of offerings that we have in our school, because we are a small school. It is hard to offer this many classes in the size of the school we have. And I know that the teachers, you were significant in wanting to offer these classes and for teaching them. And to teach them requires a whole lot of training, specific understanding of the specific content in the curriculum and materials, and being able to stay at a level of rigor in what you're supporting students in, so that they can be prepared not only to participate in the class, pass the exam, and then use it in a real world experience. So all of that is really important. And I also want to thank our assessment coordinator / all things, because all of these tests don't happen without her. And then finally, none of this would happen without the students. And the students have worked really, really hard. And it's a true partnership across all of these individuals, from the students to the teachers to the administrators to Amy to the district support, to make this happen. And I just wanted to I just wanted to thank each of you for all of your hard work and recognize each of you. So Dr. Dewey, did you want to say anything? So we're going to do two things. Thank you. We're going to do two things. One is, I would love just for everybody to know who you are and what you teach. So if you can, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, and then you're all going to come up because we're going to take a picture with the board. It's a lovely prize you get.
Hi again. Jonathan Frostad, and I had the good fortune of being hired last year to teach physics, but AP Environmental Science. Many of you know Victor Garcia. Victor has taught that class forever, and he left some pretty big shoes to fill. So I'm trying to fill in them, and I'm having a really, really amazing time with that class.
Hi, I'm Matt Wallace, and I am teaching the AP Comp Sci class this year, along with the other business classes, personal finance, marketing, student store.
Still Casey Anderson, and still AP Physics 1.
Carol Leander, and I get to do an AP Music Theory, which is extra nerdy and fabulous.
Hola, Enid Castro, and I teach the AP Spanish Language and Culture.
Anybody else want to introduce themselves? All right, everybody please come up. Everybody, students, you can join too. You can represent our AP students. Are any of you well, you guys are going to get in the picture too. Okay, come on up here. Just come in this area. I'm going to stand behind Mr. Frost.
Thank you all. I know you're all walking out, but I just want to name, I particularly also am super proud of the Access Award. I know it's been a board goal for a long time to open access to rigorous course offerings to all students. And also just wanted to name Dr. Dewey, thank you for, we don't just have like AP and like math and science, but the arts and the career and tech education and all the different disciplines. So I think that also helps with access because kids have different interests and they're able to access AP classes for a variety of their interests, not just like math or something like that. So just really appreciate that. We have no public comments this evening, so we will move on to superintendent and assistant superintendent comments.
All right, thank you, Jenny. So as you know, we are all school districts most school districts in Washington State are facing financial challenges. And so we are in the process of working with our legislators, working with our community, working with our staff to address and problem solve how we're gonna manage the next steps. For the last 3 years, we have been identifying reductions in our budget, and we will continue to do so based on the realities that the state of Washington is not fully funding our education system. In the end of October, we should have our budgets closed for last school year, which will give me an accurate number of where we landed and then therefore identify what our reduction amount will be this school year and beyond. I've been working diligently with our legislators in helping them to understand the impacts to Anacortes School District. This last couple weeks, I have met with Clyde Shavers as well as Alex Remmel to provide them an update specifically around the big three that we have been pushing as all superintendents in the state of Washington around fully funding or increasing funding for special education, materials, supplies, and operating costs, as well as transportation. Additionally, on Monday, I am heading down to the University of Washington. I am lucky enough to be invited as a grassroots movement with superintendents on the east side of Washington as well as the west side of Washington, big districts and small districts, to have a convening specifically around amply funding school, the districts in the Washington state. We're actually focusing not so much on the big three, but we're looking at 7-10 years out of understanding what are other states doing in regards to financing or budgeting for school districts. Some of the questions we're going to be wrestling with at this convening on Monday is learning how other states use student weights to fund special programs and when and how they created those policies, and learn how Washington differs from other states. We're going to be looking at how other states fund special education and when and how they created those policies, as well as how Washington State differs from those states. And then we're looking at what is the current political landscape for education funding, how can superintendents best advocate in this upcoming session and support. We'll be having a conversation with Representative Sharon Tanico Santos as well. Last time we met, we worked with lobbyists as well in trying to understand the political structure. And we will be continuing to meet throughout this year in really building out what that vision looks like for us and continuing to work with researchers at the University of Washington. There's an article that they have been working on through the Education Policy Analysis Lab on convening superintendents to envision ample and equitable school funding for every Washington child. And so being able to work with experts who understand school funding models outside of Washington is a real privilege for us. And hopefully it will gain some traction. And we hope to bring in other groups such as WASA, continue to partner with OSPI, work with WASDA, as well as working with our local unions as well. And let me go back to my other notes. Also in advocating for our school system, I had the opportunity with the Chamber of Commerce last week to participate in the candidate roundtable. That happened last Thursday. I had the great opportunity to really push on our candidates around their understanding of school districts and the impacts in Washington State. Met with Ron Musall, Clyde Shavers, and Kerry Kennedy, who is his opposition. Met with Ron Wieston and his opposition, Riley Fleury, as well as Peter Browning and Richard Brocksmith, who are the last four that I named are the commissioners in Skagit County. And then lastly, or not lastly, but I in addition to my meetings next Monday, I will continue to serve on the board for the Washington State Risk Pool Management Board, and we have our convening on Monday afternoon and Tuesday, and so I will be out of the office then, working at that board meeting. And then also, I just want to recognize the Anacortes Schools Foundation. They worked super hard in creating an opportunity for all of our donors, or a majority of our donors in Anacortes, to attend a site visit here at Anacortes High School. And it was exceptional. Dr. Dewey helped organize that event. It was one of, for me, it was an incredible opportunity. I walked in to the first session, and Dr. Dewey had organized many clubs in this library, and I think that was the highlight of my day, listening to our students talk about what matters to them, what clubs they're in, what those clubs are about, and to see their excitement. And Paige, you were here in the room. It was wonderful to hear about the K Club. And Zephyrin, you were here too. I did not get to your group, but yes, but glad you were here as well. And so thank you for that, and thank you, Dr. Dewey, for organizing the start of the donor tour focused around students. And then they did. Aaron gave a quick update to the Anacortes Schools Foundation about the great things happening here at the high school, and then continued with a tour throughout the school. So thanks again to the Anacortes Schools Foundation for their continual support in making all of these enhancements possible, especially as we're facing financial difficulties. And that's it for me, Dr. Clifford.
Well, you already got the update on all of the curriculum, and so I'm not going to say too much about that, but there's a lot of exciting stuff going on, even though we've had to make some adjustments with staffing. But so the one thing that I wanted to highlight is I wanted to thank our principals and our teachers and our families for being with our students on Friday, or figuring out something to do with our students on Friday, because our principals and school leaders and our teachers and staff did a great job of really engaging in deep learning. And we were able to get out to each of the schools and see their learning in action, and it was really powerful. So a day well spent. The other thing I wanted to share is you all saw we had a little press release on the mental health transition. Island Health is, we are expanding our partnership with Northwest ESD so that they can be the provider of our direct mental health therapist services at the secondary level, and we're partnering. The foundation, Island Health Foundation, is still continuing to fund that, and it's a shared funding, so they put a portion of funding towards it to support that, and they are still going to be supporting us. We are evolving in our practice, and I'm really excited about this expansion and this evolution of our partnership, and super grateful for all of the work in the foundation and what Island Health has done to set us up for this moment, because they allowed us to have supports and services for a long time when many schools didn't, and developed a really strong program, but that now we're transitioning to an expanded partnership. So very appreciative and excited about that. This is the time of year where there's a number of things going on. All of our students are either going to outdoor schools, Friends of the Anacortes Forest Lands. Our students are going out on their field trips, and there's activities in the schools, whether it's their concerts, band, all of the sporting events going on, and then homecoming. So this is just a really exciting time. I do want to thank some of those things that I mentioned are fully funded by the Anacortes Schools Foundation, and so I want to thank them for that. They were not a part of the transition of the secondary mental health services because that's all been funded and supported by Island Health and Island Health Foundation. But they also provide an expansive amount of supports and services, specifically in the area of mental health and social services in our schools. So we're really grateful for that. And I'm just excited for the rest of this October and November coming, the things that are coming up in the future.
And I just want to add one last thing. I see Carol Leander in the audience. I know you don't want to be recognized, but I just want to, I want to do a special shout out because she is working above and beyond right now, seriously above and beyond in helping maintain homecoming weeks, making sure that band and orchestra or band and choir and all of the events are happening. She is tirelessly making this happen, and we couldn't. I have so much respect for you, and I know that you are tired, but you're still here, and you're here, and yeah. But you're here, Carol. Every time I hear something out of your mouth, it's because you're doing it for kids, and I appreciate that. And thanks for being here, and thanks for all you do.
And she was at conferences last night, also late night conferences. I happen to know. So, thank you. So we are going to move on to board comments. Are there board comments this evening?
Thank you. I had an opportunity on Wednesday at our Rotary lunch to hear from Mr. Schwartz from Mount Erie. He came to speak with representatives from Anacortes Kiwanis about Rachel's Closet, excuse me, and how important of a program that is for all of our schools. And it was a really moving presentation that Mr. Schwartz gave, and I was really proud to be associated with being able to support that. Last thing, just a public thank you to Nikki Tesh for coordinating with NAS Whidbey Island's military outreach representative. There's a lot of support that's available to our students and families through that program. And though the tragedy that happened down there this week doesn't appear to have affected any families directly, even when things go right, there's a lot of stresses that come along with deploying and having parents that fly. So I wanted to thank Nikki for undertaking that effort. It'll mean a lot to families.
Thank you. Other board comments?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Dr. Dewey again for the tour for the Schools Foundation on Tuesday. There were a lot of people sitting behind me who were going, ooh, I didn't know that. So your explanations, how you tie the Schools Foundation into hands-on things that they've accomplished here at the school, they were just completely unaware. And you did a really great job, and I really appreciate that. And it was nice to answer questions of some of the people sitting behind me were like, I wonder what? And I said, when she's done talking, we can talk about that, right? So you did a fabulous job, and we really appreciate it.
Just realized I had a couple things here, of course. One thing, I wanted to thank our ASB, and I think a lot of people at the school were involved in making sure that the Creative Writing Club got to go to the Student Learning Day with the Skagit River Poetry Foundation. I get to be involved from the public library side because that's where we hosted, and I got to go and see our kids so excited to learn about poetry. And then a couple of them wrote things in workshops and performed them, and we might have had a smaller group than some schools, but it was really fun. And I know that took a lot of very quick shuffling when school has just started, and they had so much fun. So that was fun to get to see. I look forward to the poetry that they write that we'll publish. I know we put our books in here and at the library, so look for some of those kids who graduate from here to someday be the featured poets. I have faith. And then also, I really enjoyed the band concert, and I'm looking forward to the choir concert on Monday. I'll be there. Yeah, so you were going to say you were looking forward to it, or you enjoyed it? You can still say it.
She was going to say, come see us.
Come see Paige sing. I thought you were just going to say you. Maybe you should still say it, and then you could be your own voice. We kind of are. And I also appreciate our students for keeping us in line and contributing and commenting. We had a great study session today, and I appreciate it. Don't apologize for this later, Paige. We appreciate you.
We had a site visit at Fidalgo Elementary School a couple of weeks ago, and I've a number of times been reflecting about that visit because as our district leadership takes on student engagement as a priority and how each of the buildings is going to handle that, I saw some really great teaching happening in that building. And there were a couple of teachers who were so inspirational. I've had to talk to parents of kids in the classroom about it because it felt so good. And so I saw so many great examples of really engaged students and really engaged teachers. And I've just, for the last couple of weeks, it's been like moments of joy for me from remembering those moments. So.
And I'll just add on to that that we heard an amazing choir. Mrs. Fernalovich brought the students in, and they surrounded us and sang the most amazing song. And then she told us afterwards that they had only been practicing for 2 days. It was incredible. I feel like they were in harmony, like kids were singing harmony, and it was amazing. So just want to echo, and you've got something to look forward to when those kids come up to the middle school and high school, because there was a lot of them, and it was impressive. I mean, being surrounded by children who are singing is like just amazing. But anyway, so just want to add on to that. The staff at Fidalgo just was really great all around. That visit was. All right, we're going to move on then to student comments. I think we might have a student comment.
So to re-emphasize, there is a choir concert on Monday at 6:30, so you guys should totally show up. We've been working really hard, so all three of us are in choir, so you should totally show up.
Okay, my turn. Kind of back on the whole choir thing. There is a mattress fundraiser. Come to the mattress fundraiser. What day is it? November 2nd in AHS Commons. Come support. Everybody, if one person or two people in this room need a new mattress, come get a mattress. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Zephyrin.
Okay. I have my own stuff, but I've also been told to re-emphasize the concert on Monday. So if you didn't know that there's a concert on Monday, you should go to that. But also, I wanted to point out that at the Fidalgo site visit, one of the things that I really liked about that is that I was able to tell that the teachers there really, really did care about the students. Because I went to Fidalgo, and I have a different color of hair. I was wearing a hat, and I was wearing completely different clothing, and they all recognized me. One of my teachers recognized me from the back of my head somehow. So like I can tell that they care about the students, and they can remember who they remember who the students are, and that I think means a lot to how well they're able to teach those kids because they care. Excuse me. Also, I wanted to emphasize that not only is Miss Leander doing all that stuff, she's also teaching an AP class on top of all of that. So I want to mention that as well. That's it. Thank you.
Sorry, guys. One last thing. Band is also doing amazing with their whole situation that's going on with them right now. They are doing awesome. I went to the band concert, and they, what Mr. Dial has put in place, they can still function so well, even if he isn't teaching the class himself. They are still able to put pieces together very well. So I just want to shout out band and all that they do. All they do. Excuse me.
Thank you all. I think it's also worth noting that one of Zephyr's teachers not only recognized him, but had a book that he had written when he was a student and actually pulled it out of a file cabinet and had him read it to the class. So that was pretty amazing. So you have some building reports. We're going to start with Capstany High School, and Zephyrin has that report for us.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so I had Cap Sandy, so I met with Mrs. Huggins and I asked her all the questions. So the first question was, what are your primary goals outlined in your school's improvement plan? And Mrs. Huggins and her team really want to improve 4- and 5-year graduation rates, improving the number of career-ready graduates, and improving the number of students who have completed Algebra 1 and Geometry by the 11th grade or within 2 years of enrollment of Cap Sandy High School. So they want to, people who are at Cap Sandy for 4 or 5 years, they want a higher percentage of those people to graduate. They want that percentage of people who graduate to be career ready at the time of graduation, and then they want as 11th graders and 2-year students to have completed Algebra 1 and Geometry. So the second question, what evidence supports the progress made towards these goals? The graduation rates, she noted that they've been improving overall, but the rates have been fluctuating, and last year's graduation rate was 48%. But it is also important to note that that number does include the students who would have graduated in 2024 but had dropped out in a prior year. The career ready goal, they're working on achieving 90% attendance rates, encouraging dual credit pathways, and encouraging workplace learning experience. So that way, once the students have gotten out of high school, they're able to go directly into work. And the math improvement, the number of math credits complete has increased. I haven't been able to get data on that due to the rate at which it is collected. The third question is, how have you promoted awareness of student outcomes within your school community? Mrs. Huggins has been having conversations with staff leadership teams, sending out weekly family newsletters. I know AHS and Dr. Dewey do a similar thing. They had an open house recently that was incredibly successful, and Mrs. Huggins has been trying to work on explaining to families why the goals they have set in place are as important as they are. The fourth question, how does your school improvement plan align with the strategic plan's pillars? She gave me 3 points. 1.6, which is each student graduates from high school ready for college, career, and life with 21st century skills. 1.6D, each college meets or exceeds college, career, and life readiness indicators in grades 3 through 12. And 1.6E, all graduates exist with a post-secondary transition plan for work, career, and/or college, and complete the first steps towards achieving post-secondary goals before graduation. The fifth question, is there anything that you wish to highlight about your school? Mrs. Huggins said that the panorama survey data they got back was extremely positive, and that student-to-student relationships have been improving. And we talked about this during the study session as well. Cap Sandy has moved to, I believe, the Yonder pouches for phones. So at the beginning of the day, you get there, you put your phone in a pouch, and it's locked up for the day. And there has been an increase in student-to-student interactions and relationships since CAP implemented the use of phone pouches during school hours. And that's something that she was really proud of and wanted to share with me.
Thank you, Zephyrin. Thanks for the report. That was great. Casey has an Island View report for us.
Hello. Okay, there we go. Hi. I had Island View, and I met with the principal there, Ryan Handerhan. The first question, they're all the same questions that Zephyrin asked Ms. Huggins. First question was the goals that outline the school's improvement plan. He really emphasized having the staff focused on reading, math, and social, emotional, and learning goals, and having an improvement plan for students that need that. And also have, oh yes, that's going to the next thing. What evidence to support that? Creating a behavioral intervention team that includes teachers, paras, and a somebody named Debbie Lyman. I don't know how to say her last name. She's from Sound Support, and she just generally helps students all around. Developing a behavioral menu for students. And this is all just help to support students and like all things. Okay, yeah. They're reviewing school policies like all throughout their meetings and everything, just to make sure that they are staying on top of those. The third question, promoting student outcomes. They're doing this through leadership teams and staff meetings, just really emphasizing that they want the best for their students. Their plan pillars. He just said that their annual operating plan kind of aligned with all of our goals that we have for the board. He didn't really go into too much depth about each thing, but yeah, he just said they all align. Highlights really. Our number 5 was highlights. He said October has been is and has been a very busy month with chocolate sales, the PTA fundraiser, and he said that they earned about $40,000 in sales this year. Actually tonight and all throughout this week, they're having conferences with parents and guardians there. And then at the end of the month, they're having a little Halloween parade. So you wanted to shout that out. Yeah, overall, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for such good updates. These are your first updates, right? The two of you? Yeah. Really good job. Yeah. That was super comprehensive and really informative. So thank you so much. All right. We are moving on to our enrollment report from Mike.
Enrollment for October, kind of uneventful really. We're typically up a little bit from September, October, and this year was no exception. Primarily it was kindergarten, where we're up 5 in kindergarten, but only 4.88 in the whole district in in-person enrollment, so that means everything else kind of held. What surprised me, because I was surprised before that we had so many 11th graders that kind of stuck around, that 11th grade was up from projections in our norms, and therefore I was going to estimate that maybe Running Start might be down. No, it was up as well by almost 10. So, like, we just have more kids in our high school than we've had typically before. Growth in the high school isn't what we normally see at the beginning of the year. So, a bit unusual. I'm thankful for it, but it's a bit unusual. Any questions on enrollment?
No questions, but just want to name that, I mean, obviously we don't know for sure, but all of the work that's been done for college and the high school, the AP offerings, and just all of the things that the high school's doing, I just wonder if that has to do with retaining students a little bit better than in previous years, and if we'll continue to see that trend. So
I think so.
Yeah,
Can
it's
I
really
ask,
exciting.
Can a student enroll in Running Start at any time during the school year, or is there an enrollment period before school starts? So we would know. Thank you.
I'm just going to say that out loud in the microphone for our video. So Dr. Dewey answered the question from the audience and said that there is an enrollment period at the college, and so we're past that enrollment period, and we won't really see kids leaving to go to Running Start at this point. And typically in previous years, we've seen kids actually come back in January, so we'll see if that happens this year.
With the awesome variety of AP classes that we're offering at the high school, Bravo, and college and the high school coming along, where are the gaps that you see that are not being offered here that might still be offered at Skagit Valley? So we're trying to keep those programs within the building so we can keep enrollment. But where are the gaps that we foresee continuing to exist beyond that would still draw students to Running Start?
Go ahead. Go.
I think one of the things that Running Start offers is an online Running Start. So there's a number of kids that will register and go to that. Whether it's successful or not might be a different story, and that might be why some students return. Is there anything else you want to add, Erin?
Sorry. So mostly what we see is during COVID, they started offering online Running Start. And with that, we saw the numbers of Running Start go up significantly.
Is it safe to presume that it's not necessarily the magnet, so to speak, isn't necessarily a broader course catalog, it's more the mode?
I would say that is accurate.
And do you have any data on the number of students that come back after a semester or so that need rehabilitation or credit retrieval, and what that cost looks like?
It's about 10% of students that come back or need more support after even a year of Running Start.
Thank you. Well, this is fairly good news considering the last report that we saw. So that we're holding steady and where we would expect to be. So that's good news. So thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We have committee updates. So Jack, the WIAA update? Nothing? Okay. Legislative update from Meredith.
We just wanted to make sure that everyone in our community knows that we're working on another open house of sorts with our legislators. And it's taken a number of, it looks a little different every other week or so right now, but we feel like we're narrowing in on what that would look like in the next month or so. It will hopefully look like something in person in our community, or perhaps even a Zoom call, if that, a webinar of sorts, if it looks like that. So we think it's really important that, one, we all understand the process in Olympia, but also that we're able to share that with our parents and our community, and that's really a place of learning. And so we're excited about that, and we should have some more details, I would think, by the next board meeting for sure.
Yep. So look for advertisements on that. It'll likely happen the first week of December. All right. So we have no new business. So we're going to move into the consent agenda. Before I take a motion to approve the consent agenda, just want to name that the board had an opportunity in our retreat in August to look at the annual operating plan and the superintendent goals and craft our own board goals. And so we've engaged deeply with this work and looking forward to what's going to be accomplished this year, even in light of continued budget challenges and stretched capacity because of budget challenges. And just want to also name that appreciate, Justin, you connecting your superintendent goals with what the board outlined last year in our evaluation of like some of the priorities that we had identified. So knowing that there's some of those are priority goals and some of them are things that are going to be worked on and not identified as priority goals, but just appreciate those being really transparent in the document in here. And then also just wanted to name that I know that it's been a lift for principals to move to kind of a new school improvement planning process and a new school improvement plan template, and but just appreciate the alignment and the coherence that's been brought to the system through the school improvement plans. And it was really great to have dialogue with Dr. Dowd at Fidalgo about the school improvement plan at the site visit a couple weeks ago, and looking forward to each of the site visits and being able to engage in these school improvement plans a little more deeply with the leadership at each school. Any other comments about the consent agenda or questions?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. All right, all those in favor? Great. So our board calendar, we get to go to Island View on November 7th next, and our November study session and business meeting will be November 21st. We don't do a site visit in December. We think the schools are busy enough in December without us, but we will have a study session and a business meeting on December 12th. And oh, you know what? That is right. The November date is not correct in here.
Oh.
We did move the November one to the 14th. Yep.
Yes, we did. Okay.
Yep. It's November 14th, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
And can you let Nikki know?
Yep. It's the study session and business meeting is on November 14th. Yep. All right, thank you for that.